What's going on, people? What's happening? Happy Tuesday. I hope you're all doing well. Big up to everyone locked in. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well. If you are new here, I mean, it's never really a quiet day in the world of Manchester United, but it most definitely is not going to be a quiet day over the course of the next couple of days, especially as news is starting to heat up. Yes, news is starting to heat up that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be back at Manchester United as an interim manager. I mean, where have we seen this story before? We got so much to talk about. We're going to talk about the list of names for Manchester United's interim manager role. We're going to talk about inside Ruben Amorim sacking. Of course, you lot know it. Cash money. When something big happens, The Athletic drop a deep dive dossier, and they've given us some interesting information to take away from the Ruben Amorim sacking. So we're going to talk about all of that. We're just going to talk about what is next for Manchester United, especially when it comes to picking the successor to Ruben Amorim. The next couple of days is going to definitely be an interesting one, but as we know it for sure, Darren Fletcher will be taking over tomorrow's game against Burnley. He's expected to have his press conference, I think, today ahead of the game. And joining him in the dugout will be Johnny Evans. It's funny, Johnny Evans retired, became head of loans at Manchester United, quit that, became with his family in December, and now he is back. How life changes so quickly. I can't believe that it's 2026 and we're talking about a return of Ole. I mean, it's interesting, but we're gonna talk about all of that. So be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here. We're trying to be consistent here, guys. And even though I'm sick, guys, you see, look, I'm sick. I'm under the weather, but I'm forcing myself to stream and be consistent because I've neglected my streams over the last couple of months. And if you lot can see on this side here, there's a QR code right there. You can scan that. You can become a member, join the community here on the channel. And if you want to do something simple, like you lot know, you come in, you wipe your feet, you say hi to everyone in the chat, and you hit the like button. Something simple. Minna, do you think taking back Ole, who didn't do that bad, back to Leeds United? We're going to talk about it because for me here, Ridwan says I'm not too bothered about who the interim is. And that's it for me. Like, that is literally it for me. I need to know what is the interim coming in to steady the ship for the rest of the season? Because let's be honest, guys, if European football is the contention for Manchester United, if we want to be in contention for a European spot, it's still very capable and it's still very possible. If other teams around us start to get their tidings in order and start to sort out their issues in terms of dropping points, we will fall further behind the pecking order. And I don't want Manchester United, and in particular, you know, the people that are making the decisions, I don't want them to look at this as a kind of season done and dusted, like the season is over. So bring in that interim and make sure that interim steadies the ship and does one job, and that is getting European football as far as I'm concerned. Now, I will be honest, guys, I don't think Ole or Carrick or McKenna, anyone who knows the club, I don't think is a bad option as an interim. With saying that, it has to be someone with relative coaching experience or managerial experience to an extent. You know, the idea of Darren Fletcher, for example, as interim, I would be against that just because he's a rookie in his career, i.e. he hasn't coached a senior level team, although he's worked in the academy setup at Manchester United and he's worked as an assistant manager as well at Manchester United. I need someone who is, quote unquote, a manager, number one. Number two, with saying that, I think right now the environment at Manchester United, we talk so much about culture. Maybe what they need is someone who understands. People talk about DNA of Manchester United, right? People talk about the DNA, the playing the Manchester United way. That's the thing that I've heard the most in the last 24 hours. But can you guys genuinely say that the Manchester United way has been in full effect over the last decade or so? We have to ask ourselves that. We can't be trying to implement something that's not been around for the last decade. It will be very, very difficult to do that. I just want a manager that can come in, that has good man management skills, that can get a tune out of these players. But most importantly, I just want to see Man United playing good football. And I said this, that the crop of players that Manchester United have at their disposal right now, I refuse to buy it over the last couple of years that they were bad players. I refuse to buy it. They are players that can play football. And I think if Ollie comes in, if Carrick comes in, if McKenna comes in, whoever, Darren Fletcher tomorrow, we'll see what happens against Burnley. But if they come in and they just say, hey guys, go out there, enjoy yourselves, find each other, play the pass, play the man if you see the run, talk to each other, etc. Just simple things, simple communication from the coach. I think they could get a tune out of the players, generally speaking. But for me, it's more so, what is the next step? What is the next step? I don't want Manchester United to get, as Nuruddin would say, giddy. I don't want United to get giddy and, you know, the interim manager starts pulling off results and suddenly it's put the contract on the table, let him sign a permanent. I need to know that there's a plan in place. I need to know there's a plan in place for that. But we've got so much to talk about. But before we get into that, before we get into Ollie, guys, I really want us to speak about this. I really, really want us to speak about this. Be sure to hit the like button, like I said. Be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. Inside Ruben Amorim's departure at Manchester United, some interesting things have come out from this article regarding what has gone wrong at Manchester United. And also, it's confirmed to us, can I just say, that Manchester United have to pay around £10 million. People are thinking, yeah, why is Ruben Amorim looking so giddy, looking happy, blah, blah, blah? If I just got a 10 million payout for getting sacked, I too would be happy. Like, you guys cannot act like if you didn't get a payout, a 10 million payout, that you guys wouldn't be happy too. He has just gotten, him and his assistants, a £10 million compensation package, which means, as I mentioned yesterday, up until that compensation package, over the last 16, 18 months, Ineos have spent about £23 million rectifying decisions that they have made wrongly. You know, I'm talking about the Eric Ten Hag sacking. I'm talking about the appointment and sacking of Dan Ashworth, and I'm also talking about the appointment of Ruben Amorim. We had to pay a fee to Sporting to get him out of his contract, and then now we've had to pay him off. As a result, just Ineos alone have spent £33 million in the last 18 months on decisions that have gone wrong. And that is not a wow or anything, but let's put it like this. They have spent 33 million. United as a whole in the last decade have spent over 100 million, which means 33% of what they have spent on compensation packages, 33% in the last decade is just from the last 18 months alone. Big up to Sully in the chat, who we're going to talk about some stuff that Sully has shared on his Twitter as well. Make sure you lot check him out. Great source of information out there. But this is the big conversation, right? This is the big conversation. Darren Fletcher is taking over for Manchester United, at least for the next 2 games, right? At least for the next 2 games. Now, The Athletic have given us a nice little deep dive, guys, and I encourage you guys to go and read it. I know it's behind a paywall, and I'm not going to say you guys should get an Athletic subscription, because I think I pay £1 a month for my subscription. And I did freelance with them for a bit, but I'm not promoting them. But they do have some great articles that I always enjoy reading, not just Manchester United, across all forms of football and in sport. But they gave us some information about what went wrong in Ruben Amorim's tenure, and especially over the last couple of months. The first one being tensions between Ruben Amorim and Jason Wilcox, and they had a big heated argument on Friday. That would have been before the press conference where he just went off on one just before the Leeds game. Jim Ratcliffe wanting Amorim to switch from a preferred back 3 to a back 4, and it's quite funny, right? Because Ruben Amorim said something in a press conference the other day about Gary Neville's comments getting into people's heads at Manchester United. And then there's been rumours about the fact that Jim Ratcliffe actually listens to Gary Neville's podcast. And one thing Gary Neville has advocated for on his podcast in recent times is for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim to switch to a back 4. So I don't know if Ruben Amorim was planting the seed that, you know, Jim Ratcliffe is listening to people like Gary Neville, etc. But more information given is that the Glazer family since August have not been happy with Ruben Amorim, despite the fact that they're, you know, Ineos are making the footballing decisions. They still hold majority shares in the club, and they can if they feel like things are inadequately being done at the club, they can come in and rectify that, but they didn't. David Gill, who's the former Manchester United CEO who sits on the board alongside Sir Alex Ferguson, questioned Ruben Amorim's decision of creating the bomb squad in the summer. There's also been some conflict between Ruben Amorim and Christopher Vivell, who's the head of Manchester United's recruitment. And that was regarding, not only transfer policy, but the way that Manchester United was setting up in games. And one thing that's mentioned in this article is how Christopher Vivell called out Ruben Amorim as to why Fulham manager and Iwobi comfortably broke down Manchester United's tactics post-game after our 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage at the end of August. Apparently, he was pissed about that. Absolutely pissed. And on top of that, reportedly, there was a bust-up or a confrontation between Licha and Ruben Amorim a couple of weeks ago. And it's also confirmed to us about Ruben Amorim, about future managers, that one manager Manchester United are looking at for interim is Oli, and we're going to talk about that in detail further into this stream. But let's talk about just Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, Ratcliffe, Wilcox. It's a lot of buzzwords. There's a lot of buzzwords. So reportedly, and this is where it's a lot of words, guys, but I'm going to break down the most important parts, or the most interesting parts that I found most interesting. Now, reportedly, a lot of people at Manchester United argued that Ruben Amorim was a catalyst for a lot of the problems that occurred at Manchester United, because he would erupt when discussions regarding his tactics or the transfer policy would take place. Amorim felt like they were creeping onto his territory, especially in recent weeks when they discussed things like results, etc., etc. And a lot of people deemed the fallout between Wilcox and Ruben Amorim to be a massive, massive fallout. Now, in the face-to-face meeting that's referenced quite a bit on Friday, reportedly Wilcox asked Ruben Amorim and suggested to him that the players were struggling to understand and gain trust in the 3-4-2-1 system, and they become confused. And it's also mentioned in the article that it goes as far back as last season, where Ruben Amorim, a lot of players didn't feel comfortable with his system, not because it was confusing, because it didn't make any sense. And he was so he was so certain on drilling it into their heads that he would do a lot of off the pitch training prep with them, i.e. tactical board stuff. And it would go as far, and it's mentioned in this article, that he would go as far as taking players and showing them this is the position you need to be in. Now, some people might say that's literally like he's trying to embed and drill his philosophy into their minds. But if these players are not getting it, and clearly there's something wrong. There's either something wrong with all the players that don't understand it and they're just all thick, or there's something wrong with what you are trying to reiterate to them. Ruben Amorim also felt that the players lacked faith in him. Due to his selection and his public statement. It even goes as far back to a player that he reportedly publicly criticized, who heard about it through the media, and then Manchester United had to contact that broadcaster and ask them to withdraw those parts of the interview where he publicly criticized a player. Now, I don't know exactly which player it is. We don't know, because he's actually publicly criticized quite a few players. But apparently the player was so shocked, and it got to a point where even Manchester United's hierarchy suggested that was something that should have been said behind closed doors and not in a public interview. Now, with saying that, Amorim responded to the players asking for the change, but that's where the confusion took place. I mean, Wilcox, it sounds like, has this obsession with 4-3-3 because it succeeded at Manchester City, and he's coming to Manchester United from Man City to implement that. But it also, for me, feels like that there's a little bit, and I said this yesterday on the stream, I feel like there's a bit of conflict of who stands where and who can say what and who's allowed to do what and who's allowed to make what decision, etc., etc. It goes as far as Ratcliffe chiming in with his opinions. Now, after the Wolves equaliser last week, reportedly, Ratcliffe was unhappy with the equaliser and how Manchester United conceded that goal. And earlier in the season, Ratcliffe also proposed to Wilcox that Ruben Amorim should play Brian Mbeumo at wing-back. What? And I've actually seen people talk about... You know what's crazy? Is that maybe I think Ratcliffe is on Twitter, because I've seen people suggesting when we were signing Brian Mbeumo that he should play at wing back. You play your best attackers closer to goal. It's as simple as that. Now, reportedly, obviously, it's quite obvious Ratcliffe leans on Wilcox for quite a lot of his footballing knowledge. But that's not to say that he doesn't come with his own opinions. He does. Wing back and Mbeumo. I would actually rather just pour bleach in my eyes, honestly speaking, guys. Like, metaphorically, literally, whichever one you guys think, I would rather just get eye drops and just put bleach in my eyes, because I don't want to see that. I don't even want to see Ahmad at wing back. I don't even want to see that. But Ruben Amorim did adapt, as we do know. He did adapt to a degree against Bournemouth and then against Newcastle United. And then the frustrations came after the Wolves game when he took off Xerxes. Manchester United's senior leadership team were not happy with that. Now, this is where the interesting stuff comes in, because there's a lot of questions about recruitment at Manchester United, right? What is Man United's recruitment strategy this January window after we spent 200 million in the summer transfer window on free attackers? Now, can I just say that Semenyo not coming to Manchester United, there's quite a few reasons. There's quite a few reasons behind that. But also, this confirmed to us Semenyo wasn't happy that Manchester United ended up going for Brian Mbeumo in the summer. Now, this January window, Manchester United wanted to sign Semenyo. We know he's set to play his last game, I think, this week for Bournemouth, and then he's going to Manchester City. And Manchester United felt that they could pay that release clause and advanced with talks with him to an extent where they suggested to him that they would play him at 4-3-3. But this part of the article states something quite interesting. Semenyo went to dinner with Amorim and Wilcox in London last summer when we were looking for attackers. And they felt like his price tag at the time, which was £70 million, was too high for a player of his level. And they felt that Mbeumo, who was projected at costing 55 million, would have been the better option to do that. Despite that, obviously, we went on to pay a package of 71 million pounds for Brian Mbeumo. And 6 months later, Semenyo is the cheaper of the two. Is he the better of the two? I think they're two different types of player. I think as of the time in the summer when Man United were going for Mbeumo or Semenyo, I think Mbeumo was the better player. But Semenyo reportedly was disappointed with that he'd been rejected for a player that he felt ended up having the same valuation. And as a result, he was in no rush to answer Manchester United's signing request this summer. Now, with saying that, and the reason why I have to mention that is because when Ruben Amorim said in Friday's press conference about, you're a smart guy, when they were asking him about, has things changed regarding the budget opportunities for the January transfer window? And he kept saying, you're a smart guy, you're a smart guy. He's alluding to the fact, and it's been reported by multiple different outlets, not just here, but multiple other reporters as well, that Manchester United had the budget or had the opportunity to go and get Semenyo if Semenyo was willing to join, but they didn't want to spend on anybody else, i.e. that budget was specifically for Semenyo. And I think in economical terms is called is market options, right? You have the money for something that you want, but if you can't get it, you're not going to go and spend it on something else. For example, you go to the supermarket, you're doing your food shop, yeah? You go, I like to go to the fruits aisle. I like to buy apples, I like to buy oranges, I like to buy bananas, I like to buy strawberries. Those are the kind of fruits that I like. But if none of those fruits are there, I'm not going to go now to the vegetable section, and I'm not going to go buy carrots and broccoli and all of that, because I never went to the shop to buy that. And they are not the same stuff. I've got a budget when I go to the supermarket for specific stuff. And that seems to be the situation at Manchester United right now, which is why he's not happy with that opportunity, because there you go. In my lifetime, I did one economics module, guys. I hated economics. Honestly, shout out to anyone that got an economics degree. Finance, I can do that. Economics, not so much. I hated my economics module, despite the fact that I think in uni I did pretty decent in it. But it's basically an opportunity cost. It's what they want, what they deem fit. And just because they got that budget for, the player that they want, doesn't mean they're going to go and spend it elsewhere. I don't know if you guys agree with that. I to an extent, I agree with that. But in a way, I think I look at him and I think, well, Manchester United also need a midfielder. So it's not like Man United don't need what he's asking for. And then on the flip side, it's being briefed that, well, Ruben Amorim was happy for us to buy 200 million worth of attackers. He allowed it. He said yes, he was okay with us not buying a midfielder in the summer. Now, here's where the interesting stuff. Obviously, we already know about all of this stuff regarding what Ruben Amorim said in his press conference, etc., and the fallout regarding his press conference as well. But let me just scroll down for a second. If you don't want to read this, I really encourage you to go and read this in full in your own time. United, obviously, now we find ourselves in a situation. By the way, please, let's not talk about who we should sign in the summer until we know who our manager is. Until we know who the manager is, let's not get too carried away with summer transfers. Manchester United obviously will take their time with an appointment, a permanent appointment, and we're going to talk about the interims after this. With certain managers coming up in conversations. Number one, it sounds like Manchester United want a Premier League proven manager, so it wouldn't just be these three names that I'd anticipate, but all three of them have their contracts expiring. Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, Andoni Iraola at Bournemouth, and Marco Silva at Fulham. Three managers in the league whose contracts will expire. That doesn't exclude other names that have popped up, like Xavi, like Oli, like Michael Carrick, and that's also for permanent, not just for temporary. We're going to come back to this Oli stuff as well pretty soon. So this entire kind of sequence of Ruben Amorim's, I don't want to say breakdown in relationship, if you want to say. The breakdown in relationship, it sounds like, can I say, it was a long time coming. I don't think it's something that just broiled over the weekend, over the course of 3-4 days. This feels like, to me, the more I read about it and the more that I listen to podcasts talking about it, it feels like to me that there has been some animosity building up for the best part of at least 4 or 5 months. I'm talking all the way back to summer transfer window. I think there's animosity building up from then. And what do you expect when the lines are not clear between who does what and who can chime in with what opinions? Because at some points, it sounds like they were happy for Ruben Amorim to chime in with his with decision making. And then at other points, they're telling him, hey, this is above your pay grade. Don't step to this side. And for an example, it's here. You know, David Gill, who, like I said, sits on the board for Manchester United, former CEO as well, had questions about the bomb squad. And also Manchester United felt that the treatment of Garnacho, which was kind of initiated by Ruben Amorim, led to them losing out at least by £15 million because they ended up only selling him for 40 million. And then he obviously went on and kind of towed the line in terms of where he stands with the hierarchy. To an extent, by the way, they went along with his wishes to scrap an Amazon documentary. Now, I'm not gonna lie, an Amazon documentary for Manchester United, if they were filming from the summer till now, I don't want to see that. So I'm kind of thankful that he didn't want that to happen, and they respected his wishes. Despite that, in my opinion, my thought process behind this is, if you let him make that decision, then you should be able to be happy with him to chime in with his decision making on other stuff to do with the club, other stuff to do with the squad, other stuff to do with the team. You can't say that you're not happy with, you know, the bomb squad that he created, but then in the same breath, you're saying that he's allowed to make the decision on whether United should have an Amazon documentary or not. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm happy that United are not having an Amazon documentary, but I just think it's kind of contradictory. You can't let him do one thing and chime in at one point, and then other points say to him, actually, no, this is not your place to chime in. Now, they were Manchester United, by the way, and this is why I think you can't question, to an extent, the commitment to what they were willing to let happen at the club, because they let him talk how he wanted in the media. It's only when really now, and that's why I say his relationship with the club felt like it's something that has broiled over the course of multiple months. It's not something that just has popped up in the last week. United were so committed to Amorim that they were ready to sell Kobbie Mainoo last summer for £40 million. And I always said this back in the summer. You lot can go check the streams that we did throughout the summer transfer window. I always said one or the other will go, Garnacho or Kobbie Mainoo will go. If Garnacho did not get that move to Chelsea, I don't think United would have shied away from letting Kobbie Mainoo leave. Amorim obviously had this minor issue with Kobbie Mainoo. Shout out to Sully Talks because he actually confirmed that Kobbie Mainoo is actually injured and he's just returned to grass training. Manchester United take calf injuries very seriously. Football takes calf injuries very seriously, and that's what he has. The feeling that he had no future under Ruben Amorim is maybe not the case anymore because obviously Ruben Amorim is now gone. But that's how far that Manchester United were willing to be able to let Ruben Amorim get his way, that they were willing to sell Kobbie Mainoo. Now, there was some power structure problems at Manchester United. And I mentioned Christopher Vivell earlier regarding that. Manchester United, Ruben Amorim, Christopher Vivell, they did not see eye to eye from what it sounds like regarding the recruitment at Manchester United. Not only on the striker, but also on the goalkeeper. Two positions that Manchester United, I would say, have brought in new talents this summer, both against the will of what the manager wanted. The manager actually reportedly wanted Ollie Watkins and Emi Martinez. He wanted a double swoop from Aston Villa for two proven players in their position because he felt that Manchester United needed proven goals, and he felt the need that Manchester United needed a proven and experienced goalkeeper. Instead, Manchester United's goalkeeper scout, who I don't doubt, by the way, because Man United in the women's team, yeah, guys, you lot don't know this, but we scouted a top-class goalkeeper, right, from our goalkeeping scouts. So I kind of trust them to an extent just because of that, right? But also, Christopher Vivell reportedly pushed for the signing of Benjamin Sesko based on the data metrics. Now, the recruitment team worked very close with the data science team at Manchester United, both for both signings, to a point where Emi Martinez's signing was encouraged by Lisandro Martinez. His fellow Argentinian went as far as lobbying for his signing directly to Jim Ratcliffe. The decision aggravated Ruben Amorim, i.e. the decision to sign Le Mans instead of Emi Martinez, and the decision to sign Benjamin Sesko instead of Ollie Watkins. But Manchester United believe that signing Le Mans shows that figures such as Wilcox and Vivell are taking the long-term approach and the long-term view at Manchester United. And Ruben Amorim, as things went on, continued to feel that there was a reduction in his authority at the club. And this goes back, as I mentioned, to the Glazers expressing their dissatisfaction over results as early as August. I mean, Glazers, come on, we have not been satisfied with you in many, many years, so you guys can shut the hell up. But even to an extent where the Glazers, who are waking up 9 hours later than us because they are on the west coast of America, were not happy with the results. And despite the fact that they let Ratcliffe run the club, they have, in any point, they have the jurisdiction to step in because they are still majority owners of the club. They have questions about the setup, and they also have questions about the experience of those in charge. Can you believe that, guys? Can you actually believe that? The Glazers, if the Glazers are questioning your decision making and the people that you've put in charge in big places, something's wrong. Something is actually wrong. The Glazers, who had a banker as the CEO, who encouraged ridiculous signings over the course of a decade, who encouraged Ed Woodward to just go and throw the bag at whoever you want to sign and pay Harry Maguire's transfer fee up front, etc. If the Glazers are having questions about the relevant experience and the setup of those you've put in charge, well, something's wrong. Jim Ratcliffe, this is a warning to you. If there was ever a need for you to look at yourself and be like, oh my God, something is wrong, it's when the Glazers are questioning you. Do you know how mad that is, guys? Honestly. And by the way, it says it right here. Just I thought I should show a picture of them, but it says it right here. They are still expected to let Ratcliffe run the club, but can, in theory, step in at any time as majority shareholders. They do have questions about the setup and the relevant experience of those in charge. Wallahi, we are finished. Who said that in the chat? Someone just said that in the chat. We are done. We are done. Now, this is where I guess their reservations come from, and rightfully so, because the reservations have been there even as fans. There are big questions reportedly on Omar Barada after he backed Amorim's appointment so decisively. Dan Ashworth, who was the sporting director at the time, initially recommended candidates with Premier League experience. Wilcox also had reservations about picking a manager who was so adamant on playing a back three, but he eventually came around. I don't think Wilcox should have ever succumbed to the wishes of Omar Barada. If you wholeheartedly don't agree with something, don't let yourself be convinced on it. Don't let, because you are going to be the blame guy. You're going to take the fall for it. Right now, I'm seeing everybody calling for Wilcox to leave. Right? Everyone's calling for him, but he was never for it. So he should have just, even if that meant Barada would have sacked you like he sacked Dan Ashworth, you should have just stood on business. You really should have just, when I say stood on business, I mean stand by what you believe in. If you genuinely believed that this was the wrong decision to make, you should not have done that. Now, Ineos have currently had 3 major decisions go wrong at Manchester United, as I mentioned. Erik ten Hag's retaining Erik ten Hag, then sacking him, hiring them, firing Dan Ashworth, and then hiring them, firing Ruben Amorim, all in the space of 18 or so months. And all of this, I'm glad The Athletic mentioned this. Who's going to pay for all of this? It will be staff at Manchester United. It will be matchday going fans at Manchester United. They will bear the financial implications of all of these decisions. Now, we're coming up to the end where we're going to start talking about interims. Even though Ruben Amorim was deemed charming and generous, some players wanted better communication from him, and it goes as far as back as him and Lisandro Martinez reportedly squaring up to each other during training in December when we played Crystal Palace and West Ham. So that's not even that far, that's not even that long ago. Lisandro Martinez reportedly considered himself ready to start, whereas Amorim was overlooking him, and it was described as a very intense manner. Those who have observed Ruben Amorim say that the kind of strength that he and his assistants have is beneficial, and the group that he brought in from Sporting with him, so his co-assistant coaches, whatever you want to call them, they are seen as mirroring his ideas rather than offering alternatives or challenges. Now, this is completely different to what we had. And this is why I rate Fletcher a little bit, because they touch on it in here. But I don't know if you guys remember. Cast your minds back to Manchester City FA Cup final. Erik ten Hag wanted us to play his the 3-1-6 nonsense. Oh my God, I can't believe we used to play 3-1-6, guys. Wow. He wanted us to play 3-1-6, go toe-to-toe with Man City. Fletcher reportedly lobbied and argued at the time. He was the assistant coach at the time. He argued with ten Hag the days leading up to it that United should not. They should go 4-2-4 and hit counter-attack and just play low block. And that's what Man United ended up doing. Now, when you, in my opinion, I kind of get where this stance comes from. When you have kind of your coaching staff who are all tunnel vision like you don't see anything from another perspective. And if anybody challenges you or anyone disagrees with you, you're going to be quite territorial. You're going to take it personal. That's applicable, guys, not just in this kind of football aspect. It's in life, right? You don't have kind of people that have the same opinion around you at all times, because you can't all think the same. Like, you can't all think the same. You can't have the same ideology. You can't have the same beliefs. You have to be different, but respectful. People have to challenge you. And I think it's healthy to do that. I think that's very, very healthy to do that. Now, with this, it points into the direction of... Oh, I was about to put up the wrong picture. I think this is what everyone's waiting for, the conversation that everyone's waiting for. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well. We've got over 100 people here. Let's try and get 100 likes at the minimum, at best. Consistent. We are back with the daily streams here, or daily content. Obviously, there's going to be so much content pumped into the football space over the next couple of days, just mainly because of this, because of the appointment of whatever interim manager comes in, because we're being fed a lot of information. But let's talk with the most recent news. The most recent news is that Jason Wilcox considers Ollie as a prime candidate for Manchester United caretaker role. His strong pedigree at United makes him a serious option, and he's viewed as being able to affect results positively and restore a feel-good factor at Manchester United. Big up to Sully as well. Make sure you check out Sully on Twitter, Sully Talks. Sully said also that sources close to Ollie says he wants to rewrite the mistakes after his past tenure and would even work at the club for free. I mean, he loves the club. Is that what, he loves the club. He'd even work there for free. Now, other managers that are being considered for the caretaker role is Michael Carrick and Darren Fletcher. We already know Darren Fletcher is taking over against Burnley tomorrow and then against Brighton on the weekend in the FA Cup. We also know Michael Carrick, if I'm not wrong, is not in a job right now since leaving Middlesbrough. And also Michael Carrick was a key part of Ollie's time at Manchester United. It was him, it was McKenna and Ollie that worked together. And it was even reported when Ollie left that Michael Carrick and McKenna was the ones that had the very close relationship with the players, because they used to take every majority, like 99% of training sessions was by the two of them. Now, I will say one thing. It's important to get this interim manager right, because there is so much still left of the season to play for, because everyone around top 7, top 8, like the gap between 3rd to 9th is not that big. And we need to get results on the board, right? So I think it's very important for the caretaker role to be the right one. It can't just be for in vain. The decision cannot be in vain. Minna trying to convince us that Ollie is the guy for the job. Honestly, guys, I want to ask you lot, who do you think should be the caretaker manager at Manchester United based on who's available right now? Because look at when we got Ragnick. Ragnick was just what was available at the time, right? And he also came in with the idea that he wasn't going to be a coach for long. He was going to go on and become a kind of consultant to the club. Who do you guys want as a caretaker manager? Because for me, the caretaker manager, there's more pressure on Ineos to get the permanent manager right. The caretaker manager, for me, it's just important for them to steady the ship right now and get results on the board. If it's Carrick that does it, if it's McKenna that does it, if it's Ollie that does it, good on you. Good on you. One thing I won't buy is this whole thing about the United, knowing the United DNA and knowing the United way, etc., etc. What? The United way, with all the people that are in there right now making the decisions, I don't think the United DNA is there anymore. I think it's been washed down. I don't think there's people in the club that know the club, the people in the hierarchy. I don't think there are people that know the club, that knows what it means to be Manchester United, that knows what it means, wear that shirt and wear that badge and, walk out at Old Trafford, etc. I don't think there's people in the hierarchy that are like, people keep talking about the Manchester United DNA. How can we put the Manchester United DNA in the dugout? They're not even in the boardroom. So what does it mean when you say the Manchester United way? Playing the United way, have we done that in the last decade? You lot are saying bring Gary Neville. It can't be the same Gary Neville that got sacked at Valencia. It can't be that. Are you talking about Phil Neville? Or is there another Neville that we don't know about? Is there another Neville we don't know about? Because you guys are saying Neville. It can't be Gary Neville that sits on the overlap. It can't be that Gary Neville. I think you lot are trolling me. I think Gary Neville's a good pundit, and I think he's a good presenter, and I think he does, good content on the overlap and on Sky Sports. Keep him over there. I don't want him in the dugout. I'm not against the idea of Ollie as an interim, honestly speaking. Come in and steady the ship. I'm not against Michael Carrick. I like Michael Carrick. I like Michael Carrick as a coach. I like Ollie as an interim. Darren Fletcher is probably the only one for the interim role that I look at and I think, I don't know about that one. Just because he hasn't had for me, with the permanent manager, there's some non-negotiables for the caretaker manager. You have to have managed a senior team at least once in your life. At least for half a season. You need to have some managerial experience at top level, coaching experience. One thing I will say, right, is that number one, I said that there's more pressure on Ineos to get the permanent manager right, more so than the caretaker manager. But B, I don't think there's a lot of emphasis on a caretaker manager coming in right now and being the man. I think what they will reiterate to whoever it is that they hire is just, please come and make us feel like Man United again. Just make us win, get results on the board, get along with the players, get the best out of these players. Because I will say this over and over again, this crop of players that we have right now, I refuse to buy that we are a relegation level team. I refuse to buy that. And I genuinely think if you bring in a manager and you tell the manager, and the manager goes out there and says, yo, just play football. Like, that's me. If I was coaching this team, I'd just be like, yo, guys, just express yourselves. Go outside and go on the pitch and express yourselves. We'll be bopping teams off the pitch. I think that solves like half of the issues that we've had for the last 12 months. If you tell players, just be yourselves on the pitch. Just enjoy the football. Just make, like, you can't all be brain dead. That's impossible. That's impossible. You can't all be brain dead. Take the emotions out of it and remember the end when Ollie was clueless and a mess and a joke. I think Ollie's tenure ended horrendously. I think it was like 7 losses or 7 or so losses, etc. It was a horrendous end. But let me ask you guys, the closest I have been to enjoying watching Manchester United play football outside of Ollie's tenure was probably Erik ten Hag's first season. And I'm saying first season, not even first season. November to February. November to February in Erik ten Hag's first season is probably the last time I enjoyed thoroughly watching Manchester United play. Up until we played Liverpool in March. And then it was downhill. It was downhill. If there's anyone, in my opinion, that can probably get a tune out of these players, number one. Number two, I think what we need is, I know you lot are going to laugh at me, but restore the good feel factor right now at the club. Because all we've heard about is culture change, culture change, culture change. We didn't really hear about culture issues at United when Ollie was there. And all I will say is that whether it's Ollie, whether it's Carrick, either of them I'm happy with. I'm happy with either of them as an interim. The decision, in my opinion, changes on the decision when we go and make a permanent decision off of temporary emotions. If we now go sign Carrick on interim and we have a great next couple of months, don't make a decision based on the emotions over those couple of months. And I don't want that. I really don't want that. Let me see what you lot are saying in the chat. All we need is a defensive structure in the team and let the attackers work it out. You know what, Mike? I hear it. I don't think we need to overcomplicate it, is what I'm saying. It's not complicated at this point. I don't think it's complicated. Go out there, express yourselves, play football, find each other, find a man, score a goal, guys, and defend. Ollie until the end of the season and then get Xavi. Now, this is the interesting one if we talk about permanence, because Xavi is a name that's popped up a lot. We were having a whole debate about this on the Straight Jacket podcast yesterday. Xavi is a name that popped up, and according to Ben Jacobs, Xavi would be open to joining Manchester United, although it remains unclear whether Manchester United will consider him due to his lack of Premier League experience. Now, amongst the names, I will say one thing, guys. Yeah, when we talk about permanent managers over the next couple months, leading up to when we appoint someone, just know we will be linked to everyone. Just know that, okay? Just know that. Don't accuse any content creators of like clickbait of anything, because journalists will link us to Xavi. They will link us to Tuchel. They will link us to Nagelsmann. They will link us to Glasner. They will link us to Marco Silva. They will link us to Iriola. They will link us to who else? The Terzic, I think is Terzic. I think his name is the former Dortmund. The former Dortmund manager. They will link us to everyone. Yeah, just know that. Just know that. I don't know where I stand on the permanent appointment. And I said this the other day, by the way. I said this yesterday. I love Iriola. I absolutely love Iriola. He hasn't won a game in 11 games. He hasn't won a game in 11 games. I've seen what a mid-table manager who overachieves does when he gets to a big club, Thomas Frank. So I love Iriola, but I don't know if he would be the right guy for the job. I don't know if he would be the right guy for the job. I like Xavi. He's done more with less at his disposal. Despite the fact that, look at the team he took over when he came at Barcelona. But what happened with Xavi? He started to fall out with the board. Tuchel, fall out with the board. Conte, like Poch. I've seen people asking for Conte. I've seen people asking for Poch. You lot are asking for people who are gonna blow up in the press room and go off on people. And then we're gonna be back at square one again. And this is not me by saying that we need a yes man. I don't think United need a yes man. I think we need these guys to not be in the boardroom making the decisions. Because they're equally part of the problem. And I don't ever want to shy away from those conversations. The Glazers are part of the issue. Ineos are part of the issue. Ineos, for me, have not instilled any kind of good faith in Man United fans over the last 2 years. There's not one thing I could say, you know what, Ineos, I rock with that. Because I don't even agree with the stadium. Like, generally speaking, I think Manchester United need a new stadium. But the way that Ineos are going about it and how negligently they're going about it when it comes to, number one, how many jobs are being lost, but then they're arguing about how many jobs they're going to create. You guys think about this 90k stadium that's going to host Burna Boy concerts. I don't care about Burna Boy concerts in Manchester. I don't care if Adele does a concert in Old Trafford Stadium in Manchester. I don't care about that. I don't care if Spice Girls do their 7th reunion at the stadium. I don't care. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care if we host a flipping finalissima between two. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is Manchester United winning again? Are they back at the top? I don't care if we're playing at a top stadium, game in, game out, when we're losing. Look at West Ham, guys. I'm not saying this is the same, by the way, but look at West Ham. West Ham are en route to having an Olympic stadium in the Championship. I don't think that's ever seen. I don't think that's ever been seen before. They're about to be in the Championship with a Olympic stadium. Please don't mention this name. Please don't. Nick, come on. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. In terms of what you guys want in a manager. Hold on. Before we get to the manager. In terms of what you guys want from the interim coach, if it's Carrick or if it's going to be Ollie, regardless, what do you want? What is your expectations? What is your expectations? Do you expect Thiago Motta, the guy that got sacked after like 3 months? How long was Thiago Motta in his job for? Hold on. Because I liked Thiago Motta, yeah, when he was at Bologna. How long was he at Juve for? Okay. Oh, he was at Juve for not that. He was there for about 7 months. Half of it. He got appointed in the summer, and he was sacked by March. Even they had more standards than United. They sacked him a lot quicker. Even the other guy that was at AC Milan, he got sacked after winning even though he got sacked when he won the Super Cup. And he wasn't even there for that long either. But in terms of interim coaches at Manchester United, let's look at the table as well, guys. Let me pull up the Premier League table. Let's pull up the Premier League table on here. Right? This is what the table looks like, guys. Let's go there. Okay, cool. This is what the Premier League table looks like for us right now. 31 points. We are level on points with Chelsea, who just appointed their new manager today as well, which I think is hilarious because Gary O'Neill's now been announced as Strasbourg manager. Congratulations, Gary O'Neill. He's going to be the Chelsea manager in 2 years' time. But this is what the table looks like right now. Between 5th, We are 3 points off of 5th, right? We're 3 points off of 4th, sorry. Between 4th and like 12th, there's like 6 points between them. There is 6 points between them, which is why I keep saying that this season, it's still salvageable as long as the teams around us don't start getting their shit together. Excuse my language, but if everyone else around us keeps dropping points in the manner that they have, then we need to be able to capitalize on it. And the only way that we do that is by getting points on the board. We need to beat the team. Like, I'm tired. You know what? I'm not looking forward to? I'm not looking forward to the romanticization. Is that even a word? But I'm not looking forward to how people rewrite history. How people rewrite history for Amorim. Because I've already seen people saying, oh, Amorim's going to be remembered for taking on the board. No, he's going to be known for that Grimsby loss. He's going to be known for losing a European final. He's going to be known for the worst Premier League finishing spot for Manchester United since World War II. World War II, guys. World War II. That's what he's going to be remembered at. People are already rewriting his history at Manchester United. He's going to be remembered as 100% the guy that criticized or indirectly criticized Manchester United's hierarchy, but he's also going to be remembered for the writing on the wall. I say this all the time. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Numbers don't. And this table here shows you that Man United can still salvage something from this season, despite the fact that they've sacked their manager halfway through the season. Something can still be salvaged. And I need something to be salvaged. I need something. So even if it's a European spot, my only ask from whoever they bring in as an interim is to just get United playing good football and getting good results. He's going to be known for his Moncler jacket. Oh, man. Talks between Manchester United. This is coming from Florian Plettenberg, by the way, in the last 10 or so minutes. It says that talks between Manchester United and Oli have already taken place. Oli is ready to take over. It is now waiting on United's final decision, who's expected. And they're expected, obviously, to be meeting with Michael Carrick as well. And the thought is, from a lot of reporters, the thought is it's either one or the other. It's not going to be both of them back together again. The boys are not getting back together. It's going to be one or the other. And you know what, guys? The more that I read, the more that I see, I think it's Oli. I think it's going to be Oli. I think it's going to be Oli. Get me a manager who only wears club match. 18 wins in a row would get us to 85 points. Manny, get out of here, man. Talking about title charge. We can't even title charge. We ain't even got a manager. Inzaghi. I think Inzaghi's having fun at what's it called? I'm surely Inzaghi is having fun at Al Hilal right now. The only thing they're first in the table over there. He's en route to winning another league title. They've just knocked Al Nassr off of the top point, and Al Nassr have been top of the table throughout most of the season. So I think he might be okay. And I'm not saying that coaching Al Hilal is better than Manchester United, but I don't think he's gonna leave yet, unless it's for maybe later in the season. How much money is he making? That's what I want to know. I want to know how much money he gets paid by Al Hilal. He must be getting paid a shit ton of money. Excuse my language. Get into Champions League and then choose whichever manager you want, 100%. But I also think that that decision needs to be made, not imminently, but it needs to be a decision that's not, and it needs to be a decision that's not rushed, but it's a decision that shouldn't be taken lightly, because essentially Ineos are set to appoint their third manager at Manchester United. Like, if they had sacked Erik ten Hag, I class Erik ten Hag as an Ineos manager, because they gave him a new extended contract when they didn't have to do that. He played them. He said, if you want to keep me, prove it. Put it in writing on a contract, and they did that. So in my eyes, that Erik ten Hag kind of contract extension, in my eyes, that's a Ineos manager. And then you got Ruben Amorim. So now you're essentially on your way to your third manager. 4 if we count the interim. 4 if we count whoever the interim is. So Ineos have to get that decision right, because as far as I'm concerned, as of right now, they've been here for 2 years. Ineos have not gotten anything right. Maybe to an extent, I would say some of the transfers they've gotten right. But even within those transfers, they've got things wrong. And I don't expect 100% hit records. You're never, like in life, you're never going to have a 100% hit record. But I expect more than at least 50% because as far as I'm concerned, Jim Ratcliffe has emphasized consistently the best in class. This don't look like the best in class. This looks like domestics going on. It looks like, yeah, mum and dad caught in an argument, and the oldest son or the oldest daughter actually, who's always in charge of sorting things out between the parents. You know, the older sibling always kind of parents the parents. It looks like the oldest daughter is just fed up in the middle. That's what it looks like to me here. Barada looks like he's sick of his shit. He's probably thinking, this bloody guy, I get it, you pay my wages, but piss off. And Wilcox is, you know what? Wilcox is the rebel. He's the one that can chat back. Barada is probably saying 100 things in his head, but he's scared to say it out loud. But Wilcox is probably telling him, shut up, brother, I'll punch you in your throat. If you're having public spats like this, this is not the best in class. This is not the best in class. You're having public disputes because you're losing or you're drawing, to a relegated team, a team that's en route to relegation. You're having public spats. Did you guys never get told to not argue in public? Like, that's rule number 1, isn't it? If you're in a relationship, they tell you don't argue in public. Like, don't argue in front of your friends or your family. Don't give them stuff to talk about. You know, like when I was younger, me and my sister used to like bicker in public. My mom would pinch us and be like, stop doing it in public. Like, why are you arguing in public? We shouldn't be seeing this. The public meltdown that you guys are having. And whatever is being said in this picture, bro, guys, I wish I could hear that. Wallahi, I wish to be a fly on the coat of Ratcliffe right there. Because the way Wilcox is looking at him, yeah? He's looking at him like he don't fear him. Like, bro, she's probably looking at him like, shut up. Have you always noticed they stand or sit according to their hierarchy? That is crazy. That is actually crazy now that you think about it. That's actually mad. Yeah, he probably said play Mbeumo at wing back, and Wilcox is probably telling him shut up and just pay the electric bills at Old Trafford, man. The hell are you talking to me about playing Mbeumo at wing back? But honestly speaking, whatever was said here, shout out to the photographer that took this picture, can I say probably hit a lick. Yeah, they probably made a lot of money from selling these pictures to all the different outlets on gay images, etc. But this kind of stuff shouldn't be known to the public. Like, we shouldn't be seeing this stuff. Do we want to see it? Yeah, because we're messy and it gives us stuff to talk about. But at the same time, I don't want to hear it. It reminds me of looking at this picture just reminded me of the reports that said that Ratcliffe was given stretching advice to Manchester United players and physios because he runs marathons at his age. I said this on Twitter, yeah. I said, I feel like Ratcliffe is too involved. Like, you can't tell me that you buy something, you buy a business, and you are adamantly telling everyone that will listen that you're putting the best of people to run it, but yet you're still there micromanaging it. Jim telling him, Gary Neville told me to see the title winning squad. He's probably thinking that. He said he's probably thinking, why are we not playing a back 4? Gary Neville told us that we should be playing a back 4. Honestly, whatever's being said in this, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. They should get Fletcher, Carrick, and Solskjaer to lead, co-lead the club. That's too many for me. Again, too many cooks in the kitchen. There's a question of hierarchy. Who do play? If you got, I don't know personally. This is just my opinion, but I don't know if Carrick will do what Ruud van Nistelrooy did, which was take the assistant coach role after being a manager formerly. Now, if Carrick comes in and he's the interim manager, Ollie wouldn't take the role of an assistant because he's formerly been a manager. And so I don't think, excuse me, I need to turn on my heated blanket. Guys, are you living in the UK? It's so cold in the UK lately. Like, I came from a hot country on holiday, and I've come back to a country that is just so... I haven't smiled in like 6 days, guys, because it's so cold. Honestly, I know this is not for me to talk about the weather, but I mentioned it earlier, but like, I'm sick. I'm actually sick, not because of Manchester United, because of the weather change. Like, I've been drinking this song. It's so cold. It was -5 degrees today. -5. Oh, it was -8 in Manchester. It was -5 here today. And it's just so cold. And every time I want to go for a run, but I'm scared that I'm gonna drop on the floor because it's so slippery outside. And also, I might play paddle, but I'm scared I'm gonna drop as well. It's not just the UK that is freezing. To be honest, though, I was in Qatar, right? And Qatar is in the Middle East. It's normally warm, but this winter period apparently has been really cold compared to usual, to a point where I was wearing like a jacket in the nighttime in Qatar. Like, that's crazy to me, because growing up I used to go to Gulf countries all the time and I never ever wore a jacket. But global warming is real, guys. It's real. It's real. And all you people that use AI, you're part of it. But it was really cold. I did try to like hunt down Sheikh Jassim. Oh, breaking. Ollie is the interim. Is that legit, or am I being clickbaited? I'm being clickbaited. I'm being not clickbaited. I'm being tricked. Because there is absolutely nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, that fake news. That's fake news. That's fake news. I mean, I think it's gonna be the same. It's definitely gonna happen in the next couple of days, but I don't think it will be immediate. Like, I don't think we will get any immediate news. Minister global woman. Yeah, what? Global woman? What's Greta Thunberg always protesting against? Oh, global warming is the opposite. Climate change. But I swear the coldness is part of that. Come on, man. Guys, my degrees are not in science. But you get my point. It's freezing. It's absolutely freezing. For us, crazy. Yo, I don't use AI, right? I don't use any form of AI. But I'm amazed at how many people use it for the most minor tasks. Like, people don't want to use their brains anymore. People don't want to think anymore. People don't want to like search anymore. My niece told me she uses AI to write her references when she writes essays in university. I said, you don't know the pain of having to write out your reference one by one, doing the name correctly, the year correctly in brackets, etc. I said, you will never know that pain, because you're telling me you just scan something into AI and it writes all your references for the books that you've been using to write your essays. That's ridiculous. And I actually think, guys, this is a conspiracy theory. Sorry, I know we're not here to talk about conspiracy theories, but I genuinely think that we are moving into the generations of... we are going to be the most educated, illiterate people ever. Like, if you think 100 years ago, right, how many people on average in society was educated? Nowadays, right, every other person you come across, they got a bachelor's degree at the least, right? 100 years ago, that probably wasn't the case, right? We could talk about segregation and women's rights, etc. What, women weren't going to university. There was segregation, race segregation, etc. Now we are living in a time where we are probably one of the most educated generations that have ever kind of walked the earth, because we've all gone through at some form of education. Back in the day, I'm talking 200 years ago, how many people went to high school, let alone college or university, etc. But now we are in a place where we're going to be the most educated, illiterate people ever, because people can't think for themselves and people just use AI for everything. AI. I hate AI, and it's ruining the earth, guys. It's actually ruining the world. The amount of water that's used to run places that run like AI systems is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. No one cares, Minna. Respectfully, we are here to talk about football. Unfortunately, things in the outside world impact us. This is a community where we talk about everything. We talk about everything. Yeah, Iverson. You want to talk about practice? You want to talk about practice now? All jokes aside, guys, that's my rant of the day done. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. What do we have coming? If you want to join the membership club, as I mentioned, you can scan that QR code on the top. Look at that, man. We got technology here on the streams, but you can scan that QR code on the top and you can join the membership club. It supports the channel, but also you get a lot of member-only content as well as, you know, badges and custom member emojis to use as well. We've got quite a few there in the member only area. I need to update a couple of them. If you want to support the channel in alternative ways, you can send in a super chat with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts, or just to show some love. And you can do something simple. You can hit the like button and you can also subscribe. It's the road to 20k, and when I hit 20k, I will do a Q&A. But it's going to be a recorded video. So I will put out a notice. You can drop your questions, but it's only going to be when we hit 20k. And we're not too far off that from now. What we got coming over the next couple of days? Again, tomorrow there will be no daily dose of Mina because Man United are playing. So I will drop a reaction video after that game. Drop reaction videos across many games because there's the Super Cup is happening in the semi-final Super Cup. Barcelona versus, I can't even remember. I know it's Atletico versus Real Madrid on Thursday. So we will drop reactions to all of those. And then the Super Cup final is on Sunday. It's the FA Cup on the weekend. Manchester United women versus Arsenal as well on the weekend. We've got so much content that will be coming over the next couple of days. So make sure you lot subscribe and turn on your post notifications. So when I go live or when I drop a video, you lot will get notified. What do you think of Vinny going? He ain't going to Chelsea. That is so random. And obviously AFCON as well. I'm off to go actually watch Algeria versus Congo because that's going to be a good game. I don't know what the score is right now, but I'm going to watch that. No, I'm not. I was going to say maybe I'll do a watch along, but I'm not doing any watch alongs for AFCON. And if you know, like, I don't need to explain it, but you guys, you know. If you know, you know. I don't need to explain why I'm not going to do watch alongs. But make sure you lot hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe, and I will. Make sure you lot look out for a reaction video dropping tomorrow after the Burnley game. If there's any breaking news between then and now, you lot know I will be live. And until then, I'm out. Have a great one. Peace. This is going to redirect you lot to Saeed's channel. What should we troll him in the chat? I don't know. Say Ollie's at the wheel. Everyone go to Saeed's stream. This is going to redirect you and say Ollie's at the wheel because I know he hates Ollie. I'm out, guys. Have a great one. Peace.